When Adolf Hitler's forces stormed Yugoslavia in April 1941, they dismantled the kingdom and carved it into various occupation zones and puppet regimes. One of the most notorious outcomes was the creation of the Independent State of Croatia, Nezavisna Država Hrvatska, NDH. A so-called independent entity that was, in truth, a fascist puppet regime controlled by Nazi Germany and Fascist Italy. Under the rule of the ultranationalist and genocidal Ustaše movement, the NDH became a symbol of extreme collaboration, brutal repression, and ethnic cleansing. Formation and structure. The NDH was proclaimed on April 10, 1941, just days after German troops invaded Yugoslavia. Its creation was not a product of genuine Croatian independence but rather a strategic move by the Axis powers to control the Balkans and fragment resistance. Hitler and Mussolini installed Ante Pavelić, the exiled leader of the Ustaše movement, as the Poglavnik, leader, of the new state. In reality, the NDH remained heavily reliant on Axis military support and aligned itself ideologically and politically with its patrons in Berlin and Rome. Geographically, the NDH included most of modern-day Croatia and Bosnia and Herzegovina, along with parts of Serbia. However, significant portions of the Dalmatian coast were annexed by Italy, and German influence dominated the remainder. The state's military, economy, and foreign policy were entirely subordinate to Axis interests. The Ustaše regime. The Ustaše, a radical Croatian nationalist organization founded in the 1930s, governed the NDH with an iron fist. Inspired by fascism and driven by a vision of a pure Croatian nation, the regime embarked on a campaign of systematic persecution against ethnic Serbs, Jews, Roma, and political opponents. The Ustaše adopted Nazi racial laws and escalated them with horrific enthusiasm. Their ideology considered Serbs an existential threat to the Croatian nation, and they implemented policies of mass murder, forced conversion to Catholicism, and expulsion. This campaign of terror culminated in the construction of Jasenovac, one of the most brutal concentration camps in Europe, where tens of thousands, possibly over 100,000, perished. Jews in Roma were also targeted under Nazi directives, with many deported to Auschwitz or murdered within NDH territory. The Catholic Church's relationship with the regime remains a controversial subject, with some clergy openly supporting the Ustaše, though others resisted or spoke out against the atrocities. Collaboration and resistance. Despite its nominal independence, the NDH was utterly dependent on German and Italian support. German troops operated freely in its territory, and Italian forces played a significant role until Italy's capitulation in 1943. The regime's legitimacy rested entirely on Axis military success and occupation. Meanwhile, the NDH faced constant resistance from Yugoslav partisans and Chetniks. The partisans, led by Josip Broz Tito, became the primary anti-fascist force in the region, fighting both the Axis occupiers and their collaborators. The NDH's brutality against civilians often fueled the ranks of the resistance, especially among Serbs and anti-fascist Croats. Collapse and legacy. The NDH began to unravel as the tide of war turned against the Axis. With Italy's surrender in 1943 and Germany's retreat in 1944-45, Ustaše forces collapsed under increasing pressure from the partisans. In May 1945, as Allied victory neared, Pavelić and many of his followers fled the country. Many were captured and executed in what became known as the Bleiburg repatriations, while others escaped to South America or the West with the help of underground networks. The NDH left a legacy of horror, ethnic cleansing, and complicity in one of Europe's darkest chapters. Its existence was a brutal reminder of how fascist ideology, foreign manipulation, and ultranationalist fervor can combine to destroy a multi-ethnic society. Post-war Yugoslavia, under Tito's communist leadership, suppressed open discussion of NDH crimes to maintain unity, a silence that would later contribute to the ethnic tensions of the 1990s. The independent state of Croatia was never truly independent. It was a creation of foreign powers, propped up by fascist ideology and maintained through violence and terror. Its brief existence, defined by mass murder and brutal repression, serves as a stark warning of what happens when extremist nationalism is weaponized by totalitarian regimes. The NDH remains one of the most infamous puppet states of World War II, and its legacy continues to cast a long shadow over the Balkans to this day.